is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show. Your war room for insider news and draft analysis from deep within the confines of Cowboys headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
And now, your host, Kyle Youmans.
Today is Tuesday, March 18th, 2025, and we are 33 days away from the NFL Draft in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Welcome into the Draft Show presented by Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. It is Miller time, and we are closing in quickly on the final month until the NFL Draft. We've got Tommy Yarrish, Bryan Broaddus, Voch Lombardi, Bobby Belt with Chris Beam in the back. I'm Kyle Youmans. Glad you are with us. And gentlemen, it's getting close to that time. We're going to have our 1 month out mock draft on Thursday, which I'm excited about, where we'll go around the table and start picking up different guys and try and see how this first round could possibly play out. We'll go through that whole scenario on Thursday. But today, it's really a lot of the nerves, trying to get those out of the way, Brian, try and see who we could be wrong on and try and hit that early.
Oh, there's a lot of guys you could be wrong on this draft.
In this draft specifically.
Yeah, I mean, this is, to me, really every draft. I mean, I've had discussions. Our old draft show colleague Jeff Kavanaugh asked me a question on Twitter today. What guys would you have that you don't think are going to bust? You know, give me 4 or 5 guys that you don't think are going to bust. You know, and the target range of where the Cowboys are picking at 12. And I thought that was a pretty interesting exercise. I think that's the pressure that you face. I was on with Eric Chiafalo, Love of the Star, this morning. We were talking about, listen, you could have thoughts about the running backs in this draft. You could tell me like, hey, it doesn't make sense to take a running back like Genty at 12. It doesn't make sense. It's not the economical use of your draft picks. It sure damn is an economical use of your draft pick if you turn around and pick a bust at 12 because you didn't take Genty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can talk about economics of draft picks and all that. Cowboys haven't had really good success. We'll see what happens with Mozzie. We'll see what happens with Tyler Guyton. But to where they've drafted the standards before, those 2 picks have some question marks. And if you don't want to take a running back, if you don't want to take an Ashton Genty because of economics, because you feel like that maybe, I don't know, it's not an economical thing, and you pick one of these other players that's a bust, that's stuff that's going on right now in these war rooms. When you're setting these boards, you're trying your damnedest to make sure like who the guys are not going to bust.
Yeah.
Especially in that first round. That's the thing. I think that's the thing. And there's plenty of guys up there that can scare the hell out of you if you really break it down looking at your board.
Why though, Brian? Like, why is it so many players this year that it seems like, oh well, I bet if he was a guard, his film would be better. Oh well, he got a new coach, so it looks a little weird this year. Oh, you should go back to his 2023. Oh, his dog died. That's why he played bad that day. We're
starting to hear a lot of excuses, and it's not so much excuses as like we're hearing about Walker from Kentucky. We mentioned him with the back stuff and all that, and you're like, well, is that the reason why he played bad? Everybody, the guys that were at a certain level when we first started this process that are now kind of fallen, and everybody's like, well, this is why. Did you check this, Tommy? Did you check this, Voch? Oh, did you know this? Kyle.
Somebody said in my comments, Brian, well, Voch, Michael Williams not a good pass rusher right now because Georgia didn't ask him to pass rush very much. What does that mean? Table, what that mean?
Yeah.
Because, I've seen three or four people tell me that. And, I understand I'm doing this crusade. When I don't like a player, I loudly, don't like a player. So people think that I'm hating or something. Like, well, Voch, the coach didn't ask him to pass rush very much. So what the hell are you doing on pass rush downs, Yeah. There's just a lot of guys with questions, and this could be a draft that'll get you fired or somebody look at you like a genius. We've been talking about the running back Gordon, right?
Yeah.
Like, why was he so fantastic
Ollie Gordon,
at one point?
Oklahoma State.
Donovan Edwards from Michigan, right? Yeah. Once upon a time, we were looking at him like he was going to be a guy. What happened? Isaiah Bond, what happened? How did these guys kind of fall down this board? And me and Brown will make the joke, oh, this type of dude you get in the 5th round, he'll save your job. Oh, they'll be an all-pro guy, in 2 or 3 years. So why is it so weird like
do you think on Michael Williams, and I don't want to get you going on a total tangent, but on Michael Williams specifically, in terms of he wasn't asked to pass rush a lot. That's it. Would you at least agree, like, what he's going to be asked to do at the NFL level will probably not match what he was asked to do at Georgia? He's not going to be asked, I don't think, by a lot of teams to two gap as frequently as he was at Georgia.
All we have is the film. Right, that's just where we are. You talk to people. I don't really talk about it. So all I have is, okay, let me watch James Pierce, then let me watch Michael Williams. Yeah. I like what Pierce looks like more. Or let me watch Princely, let me watch Donovan. I watch Baron Sorrell. Tommy, they love to get on you about your text. Baron Sorrell, run game, pass game, whatever he's doing, I like what it looks like he's doing on film. He doesn't run down the middle of people. Michael run down the middle of people, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I can only imagine that when you get to the league, that goes up a bit because you're running down the middle of better guards and better tackles now. So that's what I'm saying. When I'm watching the film, I don't project very well. Just like last year, right? Tyler Guyton, we talk about, he leans a little bit, gets over his skates, his hands aren't in the right place. I saw a lot of tackles that had their hands in the right place a bunch. And those dudes fared better. Now, could I be wrong in 3 years about Michael Williams? Could I be wrong in 3 years about Tyler Guyton? For sure. But we talking about 12 overall this year. Yeah. You need people this year and next year, not in 3 years.
If I told you he ends up being Gregory Rousseau, are you comfortable with that, or do you want more out of pick 12?
I like Rousseau, but I want more out of picks. I don't want Rousseau.
This was a community that hated Rousseau when he was coming out. Like in general, like I was not a big Rousseau fan.
Me neither.
But to me, it's. When you think of rush into the chest and traits and everything like that, I think of, in recent history, Rousseau, and then probably on the back end of that of bust potential would be Marcus Davenport.
Sure.
Davenport used to have the same issue, rush into the chest, and didn't have all the tools put together right away. So, that could be a lower end of what Michael Williams would be on the backside of that, some of the Davenport struggles.
You're not wrong, but for every Greg Rousseau is 10 Cleveland Farrells that we just, you know what I'm saying? So it's 12 overall. You had to lose games to get here. You had to be a terrible football team to get here. Mm-hmm. Like Brian said, man, I don't want to roll the dice. I don't want to overthink, Ashton Genty's a running back. But I can cut on any game. You know how, Michael Williams has 2 good Texas games, but, it's weird everywhere else. It don't matter what game you put on for Ashton Genty. Boise State versus anybody.
It's running over anyone.
Anybody.
Yeah.
I just want the anybody guy. Mike Green looks fantastic versus anybody. I just want the anybody dude.
So what does your short list look like? If you're talking about any guy, anytime, anywhere, any place, any team, who's those guys? Like, what is the short list of those guys at 12? Because that's who we need to be looking at.
Give me McMillan.
Okay.
He jumps over everybody, even the first or third overall pick, wherever he goes.
Somehow he's sliding down mock draft.
That's a lie. I won't believe it.
I don't
McMillan, Genty's one of those guys. Okay. For me, everybody ain't got to believe this. I think Simmons from Ohio State, the left tackle, I think he's one of those guys.
Okay.
And I'm on a short list of guys also. Me and Tommy. Matthew Golden's one of those guys for me.
You think so?
Matthew Golden's one of those guys for me.
I'd throw Barron in there.
Yeah, Barron from Texas.
Jade Barron's one of those.
The four that I asked that, and Jeff asked me the question, I answered Simmons, Genty, and then I went Barron, Ibuka. And that's the guys that I went. The non-bus guys, those are the 4 that I went with.
Ibuka's interesting because it goes back to that ceiling floor conversation that we love to talk about on this show, and I love to
I think he's built
say
for
that
this
tongue in cheek. He had a floor at Ohio State that cannot be questioned. Right. He was never really the guy at Ohio State, but he did everything else perfectly along the way. And he's got good tape. He's got good production. He did it with multiple quarterbacks. He did it in multiple seasons. And he was always kind of that floor guy that you could rely on. So so with you saying that, you would still be fine taking Ibuka out of Ohio State at 12.
Yeah.
Just because he is a safe selection.
I don't think he's going to bust.
Yeah.
I think he is going to come into the league, and I think he's going to play at a very, very high level. And I think whoever drafts him is going to be super happy they did, because he knows how to be a great teammate. He knows how to play second fiddle if he has to. I think he's got ability traits where he could be the first wide receiver for your team. And the fact that I don't think the games are too big for him. And I love him. I love that about him.
You didn't say McMillan out of Arizona. I'm interested. Is there something there that you're looking at?
There's a possibility with him. I mean, I have him very, very high. He's one of those guys that I don't think I would come off of. I do think there's there's the things that you have to be questioned about. Is he legitimately a 4.54 guy speed wise? I think he's closer to 4.51 because if somebody got him at 4.48 and somebody got him at 4.54, that's you split those times. That's right around 4.51, 4.52.
Do you care? Like if he's a 4-5 guy, do you really care?
I don't. But I just think if you ask me 5 guys, I think I would have him as number 5. I picked 4. That 4 guys. I think he would be number 5 on my list.
Like, is that a recent recent change for you? Because you used to be 10 toes down McMillan guy. Like, I just don't want you waffling a little bit. Have you kind of died down on him a little bit?
No, I mean, like I said, those are the 4 guys that I think that absolutely will not bust.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. I mean,
and then
if he said,
would be
if he said
outside
5 guys, he says, give me 4 guys that I. Yeah. So I just, to me, I feel like Barron. Like I said, I feel like Simmons is the top one. Genty, Barron, Ibuka were my 4 guys.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Brian. You were talking earlier about how the past couple of years these first-round picks haven't hit for Dallas yet. Mm-hmm. Do you think that puts, just because you've been in those rooms before, do you think that puts any pressure on this group to maybe opt for the safer pick that might not be as high on their boards? Or do you feel like they could still go for that higher player who you still maybe have some lingering questions about and you're not as sure as a surefire guy? I hope that makes sense.
I'm trying to think it through. That just take the safe pick at 12 and not.
So let me
give me a guy at 12.
Let me picture this. So you're talking about Ibuka.
Yeah.
So you've got Ibuka at 12, but if maybe Matthew Golden is higher on their board, but there's does he run the routes as well? Can he develop into a better route runner? Do you take a chance on Golden just because of the traits that he's got? Or do you look at Ibuka and say, okay, this guy, we need a wide receiver too. This guy's been a bona fide wide receiver too at Ohio State his entire career.
I'm taking Ibuka there.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm taking Ibuka there. I just feel like, to me, that overall, like I say, the body of work for him, I've seen it his whole entire career at Ohio State.
Yeah.
With Golden, Houston to here. I think Golden's a hell of a player. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not trying to think anything less of Golden or any of these other guys. Or we're going to talk about Michael Williams. We're going to talk about Will Johnson, those kind of guys. But I just think of I look at the overall body of work throughout his whole entire career. I think that's why I got Ibuka ahead of Golden.
Okay.
Something I love to do is ask Bobby, because I don't get to work with him all the time, and Bobby gets to hear these things. Bobby, why are we seeing these mock drafts where these wide receivers kind of falling a little bit? Burden is falling, or we, just talk about certain guys that we may have on our top 15 or so. The league may not see it that way. Why is that, Bobby?
I think Burden scares people because of how his final season at Missouri went, where it was, all right, we see the progression. Is he going to take the step up? Is he going to have a really big year here at Missouri the last year? And it didn't go well. He was banged up a little bit, so there's some of that question there. I personally get concerned by players like Burden coming out just because whenever it's, and I've talked about this before, whenever the top line item to me is what you do after the catch, or they're a playmaker and put the ball in their hands, and the Malachi Corley's last year. I let Malachi Corley burn me last year, I think, because he doesn't look like he's going to be the type of player that I thought he could be. There's just more of a projection or more uncertainty to me with somebody like Burden. So I think that there may be some of that question with people who look at Burden and say, you were a 5-star, you played really well early at Missouri. Why did it taper off? Why did you seem to have some of those issues? So that's the deal with Burden. McMillan, I don't know. McMillan falling in some of these mocks where he's going 20. I have no. That's
crazy.
I said it last week. He's Kyle Hamilton to me at receiver, where it's Kyle Hamilton. People felt like started overthinking him and maybe had some fatigue because he was being mentioned for a year plus as one of the top players in the draft. And all of a sudden, Kyle Hamilton slides 14 to the Ravens, and he turns out to be a great player. I think McMillan is one of those guys that in the past, whether it's, Brian Branch or Kyle Hamilton or some of these guys that it feels like we overthink a little bit and let them slide. I wonder if he'll be one of those guys. I would hope he wouldn't get past 12 in that instance.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
He shouldn't. He shouldn't get past 12. I don't get it. I'm with you guys. I don't get it. I mean, this guy he's game fast. Everybody's talking about this 40 time, but he's game fast. He's clocked in a couple times at 19 miles an hour at Arizona. Yeah. And, we talked about how good Luther Burden is after the catch. I don't think Tetairoa McMillan is that far behind in terms of what he can do for you, just because of that long stride. He's got a build that's hard to bring down for some of these corners that may be a little bit smaller. And then, You add in, too, what he can do with 50-50 balls and contested catches, the catch radius that he's got with those long arms and body control. I mean, this guy's clearly, for me, the best wide receiver in this class.
I don't see wasted movement with him.
No.
Like, and that's one of the big things to me is that it's like if you're 4.55, but you're efficient in everything that you do, the way that you move across the field, I don't think it matters nearly as much.
Yeah, and he's an athletic freak show. So you add all that into it, and it just seems this might be one of those where it's like one of those smoke screens early. I feel like you see him drop to 20. I don't know if he gets out of the top 10. I don't know if he's even there for Dallas at 12.
Could very well be the case.
I would
going to Las Vegas.
I doubt he's there.
New York, Carolina. I mean, any of those teams.
Who's likely not to be there, McMillan or Genty?
It's starting to feel more like Genty.
Genty won't be there.
He will be there?
Will not.
Will not.
I don't think he'll be there. I think neither one of them will be there. Neither should be there.
Yeah.
Like they're top 5 guys on my. And look, my boy ain't their boy, but those are 2 guys that shouldn't be there. We should be having a conversation about Mike Green or something, and not McMillan. Because if we get McMillan, I say we, but if Dallas gets McMillan, y'all had to kick me out of here, man. I'm gonna stand up and clap or something.
Stand on the table.
Stand up and clap.
Yeah. Now, just as we sit here, almost 1 month out, if you had to say in one word what the position would be that you would spend the 12th overall pick on, what would it be? One position. Doesn't have to be a player, doesn't have to be a guest, but what would you spend it on based off of what they've done in free agency over these last couple of weeks? Where would you go?
I don't think free agency has limited them to even.
It hasn't.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed.
Right?
I don't think. I think they just prevented depth from going out the door and added some pieces to make sure that they can draft and they don't have to force it. So
wide receiver though, like it has to be.
That's the one.
It has to be wide receiver.
Absolutely.
You don't have a starter there right now.
Yeah.
You don't have a legitimate starter, I don't think, there right now as the number 2.
Yeah. Cooks walk, so now you like worse. So now your wide receivers are Tobin and Turpin, CD Tobin and Turpin, and that's y'all ready for that?
Paris Campbell.
I'm not. I don't. I hope he's not here.
He's here.
And is he here?
Yeah.
Hey man, he'll be competing when we get to Oxnard. And we'll just see. Miles Sanders. I think he's a competing at Oxnard guy. I don't know how long they're gonna be here. I don't know if they're around in September.
For a team that wants to run the ball, they got no runner.
Nope.
So I mean, that's if you want to talk about 12. I don't know how comfortable everybody is taking Hampton or Johnson or one of those guys.
He was mocked today to the Cowboys. Hampton was out of North Carolina. Would you feel comfortable in that sense?
He was mocked at 12 or was
at
one
12.
of them trade back mocks?
It was at 12.
It's second time in a row Kuiper's put him at 12.
I'll tell you what.
That's where I keep an eye on that because Kuiper, he did the thing with Tyler Smith.
Yeah,
he did the same thing with Tyler Smith.
If Genty's not there and McMillan is not there, I don't know what it looks like to get wiped out, this year, but if it's a version of wiped out to where, look, dog, we need running back, and we don't think Hampton's going to be there, and Hampton's like your 17th guy. If he's your 16th, 17th guy, then
you'll be fine.
I wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt me because we have Hampton. Like, cool, you have drafted Hampton, and all these other guys aren't there. I would rather Hampton than Will Johnson or something.
See, that's what I was going to ask you. Hampton, Mykel Williams, or Will Johnson?
See, you purposely picked 2 players I have a problem with and 1 player that I love. So
you asked me where I would put
you might be faced with that.
On my board, I'm taking the running back that I love. I'm not one of these guys that hate drafting running back like that.
I don't either.
I'm hate paying running back for a long time, but drafting running back, we can go party. I will get Hampton at 12.
Let me ask you a question based off of that. If you had to rank those 3 guys and who you would take in that order, what would it be?
Who was it again? It was Hampton,
Mykel Williams, and then Will Johnson from Michigan.
I'm going Hampton, Johnson, Williams in that order.
I think it's likely they would reverse that, and it would be
Oh, yeah, I think it's
Williams, Johnson, and then Hampton.
But Mel Kiper said that Hampton.
So what we need to do is this show needs to just start talking about Will Johnson and Mykel Williams, like Tommy brought up the other day with Mykel Williams. That
I would literally be hurt, and I would lose a lot of faith in what we got going on here. Like, I know they don't care about me. Look, man, I don't even work here.
You're a guest, man.
I'm not. I don't even have my little Lanyard thing. I don't have clearance around here. I can't interview nobody. Man, they don't care what I think, man. But if you pass on. What if we pass on McMillan I would be hurt. I would be physically hurt, and I would have to go through pick 13 through 32 on this show.
Upset.
With a bad look on my face, man. with a bad look. And look, I'm sure that look, man, I wish them the best. They're gonna make a lot of money and buy their mama house. Man, I'm proud of you, dog. But missing on a player that I liked. They don't care what I think for a player that I got a bunch of problems with, or clearly on film.
Yeah,
everybody has questions about. That's what Bryan been talking about for the past 3 months, man. Get you a guy that has the least amount of question marks, the least amount of warts you possibly can, and you just gave me an order where the question mark dudes are 1 and 2.
Yeah,
Hampton ain't got a lot of question marks, does he, Bryan?
No, I didn't.
He's just a running back.
I agree. I agree with you.
Bobby, what the league say about him? He got a lot of question marks.
He doesn't have a lot of question marks. I think he's solidified as a first rounder. I think that it's just the idea of like, here's why I don't think Hampton would happen at 12.
Mm-hmm.
I think this team is trying to justify right now, like just working through scenarios going, why is Ashton Genty different enough that we would consider him here? Like, just as your same sort of thing where you float any idea and just say, like, talk through these scenarios. Okay, typically we wouldn't pursue a running back this high. Why is
because
Genty
all
different?
you've done is talk about running the damn ball.
Right.
I mean, you went out there, you hired this line coach, and you went out and hired this guy from Kansas State, and the core and the guy, the head coach's DNA. Tells him to run the damn ball.
Right. But Bryan, let's look at this. I agree with you.
And you sit there and you say, "Oh, we don't want to take the best back."
I agree.
Okay, you know what? Don't tell me about running the football anymore.
Bryan, I agree with you. What I'm saying is that if they're having to go through that exercise,
pick the corner that we don't know a 40-yard dash time.
Are Genty?
That's good.
Are Genty and Hampton's tags touching for you?
No. Genty and Hampton?
Yeah.
Like at running back?
No. Exactly. So I think if this team is having to go through that exercise with Genty and say, is he, and I think they would come to a conclusion that says he is. Mm-hmm. But I'm saying if they're having to go through that exercise, Hampton's not even close enough to begin that exercise, I don't think.
Sure.
He's a good player. He's not even close enough to begin that kind of a discussion.
I have Johnson over
discussion
him
about
myself.
Genty.
Yeah. Johnson?
Johnson over him.
I did
Johnson over.
Iowa.
Caleb Johnson.
Oh, Caleb Johnson. I thought you were talking about Will Johnson again.
Caleb Johnson.
Yeah.
He's not going to be there.
Bryan doesn't have Will Johnson over Jock Reeves.
Yay.
Jock Reeves was a nice player.
All right, we got to take our first break. When we come back, we've got some great Twitter on the 20 questions. Be sure to send your questions in for today. We'll send them again on Thursday picks, as well.
It's all right.
Yeah,
it's all right.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait. Mm-hmm. Twitter on the 20 is next.
Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're maxing out overhead presses, pushing through chest flies, or being the hero your golden retriever needs to carry them over that scary bridge, Smoothie King has the fuel to help you go all out. Build muscle and boost your recovery with 45 grams of protein, 0 grams of added sugar, and delicious customizable ingredients in the Gladiator Smoothie. Available in chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. Only at Smoothie King.
Hi, Drew Pearson, former Dallas Cowboy and now Pro Football Hall of Famer here. If you're struggling with your vision and tired of those contacts and glasses, don't throw a Hail Mary. Go where I went. Laser Care Eye Center, the official LASIK partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Drew, thank you so much for trusting us with your vision correction procedure. At Laser Care Eye Center, we offer 6 different vision correction procedures to help patients see.
Check them out at dfweyes.com. Tell them Drew sent you. Hood, hood.
I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys.
And they snap it to Prescott, who looks right. It's not there. He escapes left. He'll run for a first down.
Just like football, when it comes to crypto, it's important to have a team you can trust. With blockchain.com, I know I'm in good hands. Since 2011, they've been trusted by millions around the world to buy, sell, and trade cryptocurrency.
Prescott's going to run this himself. Run it up the middle, and he scores.
Whether you're new to crypto or an active trader, they've got you covered. What are you waiting for? Get started at blockchain.com.
Cowboys fans, when it comes to navigating the ever-changing world of tax, your business needs a partner it can trust to tackle even your biggest tax challenges. Ryan is the largest firm in the world dedicated exclusively to business taxes. Our team of tax professionals has local expertise in all areas of tax and can help you uncover savings opportunities you didn't know you had. Learn more about how Ryan can improve your overall corporate tax performance by visiting Ryan.com. Ryan, the official tax partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Experience a fabulous shopping day at the Flea Style Market at the Star, presented by Marketplace by Michaels on Saturday, March 22nd. This vibrant outdoor market is packed with over 60 local artisans offering a curated selection of fashion, jewelry, home decor, kids' goodies, and lifestyle must-haves. For all the details, head to thestardistrict.com. I'm more of a monster truck rally read guy.
Yeah,
I like the flea market stuff.
Yeah.
That's good for the wife. Yeah.
Kyle, may I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
I would like to ask the table here.
Is it gonna take up a lot of time on Twitter?
Nope, I promise it won't. Are you floor guy or are you ceiling guy? Brian hates this. Are you the guy that the player either has a high floor that's as good as they're gonna be, but they're ready to go right now, like a Jack Sawyer type, right?
Okay.
Or are you the ceiling guy to where, man, they not ready to go right now. They may not know how to play. They only been playing football for 2 weeks, but they so athletic that maybe in 3 years they'll be the best player in the league. Are you floor guy or are you ceiling guy? We'll just go around.
Can I take a cop-out answer and say it depends on the
No,
prospect?
he asked you floor ceiling.
Thank you, Brian.
Answer it.
Are you floor guy or are you ceiling?
Ceiling guy. I would rather go get a guy that's going to be an all-pro and take a risk on a guy that could be an all-pro as opposed to relying on only the measurables to get it done. I want to get a guy that's going to be a badass.
Does floor mean that they can't grow anymore at all?
They can't grow anymore. What they are right now is as good as they are, and that may be a starter, but they just won't get any better.
Then I'm a ceiling guy.
Ceiling. Yeah, but I mean, it's case-by-case basis depending on the context of your football team at the time. Like, what are you in a building mode or not? It does matter. It does matter. It does. But no, it's ceiling. If I'm going to have to pick one, I'd rather have the ceiling and trust that I've hired.
Which is the bigger unknown?
The ceiling.
The ceiling, obviously.
For sure.
Yeah.
Which one are you likely to bust on more?
The ceiling.
Ceiling.
Yeah.
Give me the floor.
That's why I'm floor guy. I'm
the floor.
I'm big time floor.
Give me if you give me 15 floor guys, I'm gonna.
That's
win
Ibuka. That's Ibuka.
I'm gonna win a lot of games.
Yeah, Ibuka's a floor guy.
He can play right now. I don't know if he's gonna get any better. He can run all year rounds. He can do your whole whatever.
Yep.
Matthew Golden may or may not, or Burden may or may not. You know what I'm saying? I'm getting a dude that's ready to go right now. I'm sorry, 2020.
You know, just real quick. You know who his floor guy was? Jeff Okudah.
Yeah.
And Jeff Okudah did not pan out, and then ceiling guy was Micah Parsons.
Yep.
And so, like, I mean, there is still that you're still having to have these sort of debates, and you still got to, just because there's a projection, I don't think that's enough to be able to say, I'm not going to project it.
The
Like,
Scouts even admitted that they didn't know that Micah
Right,
Parsons
I'm just
could
saying,
rush the edge.
in general.
Floor guy out of that draft was Rashawn Slater. He ended up being a badass, and he ended up going higher than I think even we thought about. But going into him, we said he was a floor guy.
Yeah.
I think we all looked at it and said he would have been the better pick there at that time.
Sure.
And Micah Parsons is what he is, and that's what you kind of have.
You kind of want a floor guy as a first-round pick. Is what you want.
Case by case basis.
You want
definitely
both.
Matters.
You want both guys. You want the guy that can play right now that can get better. That's what you want at like 12 overall. That's why I'm.
But if you had
about.
to pick one,
if you had to pick one, I'm picking floor. I'm picking floor guy all day, every day.
Yeah, it's.
I don't want to have to trust 10 coaches to get you.
The good
right.
thing is you don't have to pick one. You pick what the prospect is because it
Tyler
is
Smith ended up better than Zion Johnson.
Tyler Smith can wrestle though. Like we knew Tyler Smith was stronger than everybody.
And we thought Zion Johnson was going to be a perennial Pro Bowler.
Y'all thought that. I ain't think that.
I don't know, man. All right, it's time for some
Twitter
on the 20.
Sorry, Beam, I was a little quick on the trigger there.
I got you, man. I'm here.
You mentioned a wipeout scenario.
Yes, sir.
John on Twitter wants to know about a wipeout scenario. What would it realistically look like? What are the names that have to be gone at 12 in order for you to say, oh my gosh, what are we doing here? What are the 11 names in front of you, or just the handful that you would have to say, we were wiped out and we've got to do something else?
McMillan, Genty, Simmons, Carter, Graham, Hunter. Like the Cowboys will love it because Will Johnson will be there. Like they'll just take him and we'll just
Michael Williams will be there. They're not going to get wiped out.
The Cowboys will never get wiped out.
They're not going to get wiped out
because nobody's going to take the players they like. And those are like that's my wiped out scenario. Like damn, boy, we really left with Jalen Walker, Michael Williams, and Will Johnson. Like that's my wipeout for me.
Okay. Brian, similar?
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to get wiped out. If you guys are telling me that they love Will Johnson and Michael Williams, they're going to be just fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's.
But what about for you?
Yeah, what's a wipeout for you?
Yeah.
Well, McMillan, Burden, Ibuka, Simmons, Campbell, Genty, Carter, Graham. Throw a corner or two in there. Yeah, I mean, you're down to, I don't know if they would pick Green or or they pick Morrison or Ravel at corner. I don't. I mean, they're so if you take what, like I say, for me personally, I love Genty. I do.
Yeah.
And I love Simmons too. I don't think they'd take Simmons.
What about the linebacker from Alabama, Campbell? What about him?
Jahad Campbell?
Do y'all see him as a 12 overall guy?
Boy,
I have Walker
there's
better.
all over the board on him. There was, I think DJ today mocked him in the top 10.
Wow.
I think. And
I don't see him
others
that high.
I don't look at Jahad Campbell as a 12th overall player or somebody in that group. But I mean, I've heard so many things all over the place with Campbell.
I would consider taking him over Johnson and Michael Williams.
I agree there. But I'm also taking Booker over.
I have him in the
Mike
similar
Evans.
spot to Williams and Johnson. I have both those guys above Campbell, but I have Campbell as one of my
he's right
top second-round picks, so he'll probably end up in the mid-20s if I had to guess.
Yeah.
Walker's a better player.
I agree.
And who?
Walker's my LB1.
Oh, y'all just
My
wrong
linebacker
about that one. That's all good.
He's out in
Is that the
linebacker
player
one.
I had the best chance of being wrong about, Walker?
I'm probably going to be more wrong about Walker because he could go out there and do a little something and everybody's going to start tagging me. But I just think Walker does, I think Campbell does all the linebacker things.
Oh, you're not wrong about that.
I think
There's
Walker's
your floor and ceiling guy.
That's my floor for sure. I just think Walker is a pass rusher. I think he's a defensive end. I think he's an edge. He's just a small defensive end. I don't see him as a drop back and coverage dude or anything like that. But
it's okay.
I'll be wrong. That's cool. That's cool. But if I'm right, and if I don't get fired from this and I come back next year, I'm letting y'all know.
You letting them know?
I'm letting y'all know.
Well, we usually have a segment earlier where it's like, guys you were right about and guys you were wrong about. We'll give you like a whole segment.
Eagles said ain't going to bring me back next year. Y'all ain't fooling me like that. But go ahead.
Derek. Derek's up here like, yeah, man,
Get him out of here.
No, it's okay. Steve asked about,
Steve?
actually, I want to hear about Tommy's wipeouts. today.
Wipeouts?
You wanna, yeah. do you wanna hear?
We're more or less consensus. Hunter, Carter, Genty, Graham, Banks from Texas, McMillan, Barron, Tyler Warren from Penn State, the tight end. And then I've got
You would consider him at
Simmons.
12? Just because of how good of a prospect he is?
Yeah, I would. I would consider. I wouldn't pick him, but I would
Sure.
consider. I think that what he's able to do for you, just because of how good of a receiver he is at tight end. I don't know how good of an inline blocker he is, but just how athletic he is and how much he can do for an offense. I mean, you saw him take snaps literally everywhere at Penn State. Quarterback, running back, wildcat offense. When you've got an athlete like that, I think it's worth a thought. But I wouldn't take him.
That would be the one thing I have a question on is the blocking element of it. Yeah. That's where Bowers differs. Like everybody's looking at Tyler Warren and they're saying, oh, he's Brock Bowers here in 25. That's not the case. Brock Bowers was a more complete tight end. But Tyler Warren's a damn good receiver.
As long as you're picking at 12 and you got 15 names on the board, you're not going to get wiped out.
Yeah.
That's just what I think.
Which is probably going to be the case. Yeah. Most likely.
I don't know. None of y'all would have. None of you mentioned him. I guess I haven't noticed enough to know if you guys care for him. None of y'all think Will Campbell would be in a wipeout?
I think Brian.
I think
Campbell.
Oh, did you mention? Okay,
Yeah,
I missed that. I think Will Campbell's really.
I would
good.
put
I think
him up there.
Will Campbell's definitively a top 10 player.
I would rather Campbell than Johnson and Williams.
To me, like some of these scenarios where I see Will Campbell getting pushed down to 12, that some people are putting out there, which is not common, but you're starting to see a little bit more of it. I'm like, okay, cool. I could be talked
throwing
into
chum
that.
in the water right now.
No, I'm just
they like Campbell.
I'm just saying I could be talked into that as guard as your plug and play.
Why you smile?
Because Brian's just he's adorable with his questions right over there.
Well, he's wearing purple, so I think it's only.
He walked in here smelling great too. We were talking about that earlier.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, get
some good cologne.
Get a little picture for
this
the
is why I
viewers
got
at home.
fired from Love the Star right here.
So I think there needs to be a conversation about Will Campbell. Yeah. At 12, where would you play him first off? Is he your right guard of the future, and then you're keeping everything as is?
I think he's a tackle.
I think he's a tackle.
I think so too.
Yeah,
I would put him at right tackle and ride, but
I'm putting him at left,
and then you would flip your right
and
your left tackle.
I'm letting that second year left tackle fight for his life, and we'll see where we go from there. I personally think that Terrence Steele is a little better than Guyton. But maybe they want to save a little money by moving on from Terrence. I don't know what the move is there, but I just don't see Campbell as a guard necessarily. I think he's just a full blown tackle guy. He's a little high in the stands, but he's a full blown tackle guy to me.
What do you think?
He's tackle.
Tackle.
I think that him and Banks are the two that you hear at the top of that tackle list. That it's like, oh, there should be guards. I don't think either of them are guards. I think they're both tackles.
Playing the tackle.
Yeah.
Brian thinks he's a guard.
No,
Banks
he's
is
a tackle.
guard.
No, I think Banks is. I think to me, Will Campbell is. But you're not. I'm not going to take him over Simmons.
Yeah, Simmons is better.
Man, y'all are high on Simmons.
Simmons is
I like it. I'm staying on business. Staying on business. Stay to your true to your board. I still think Simmons is a
Bobby smiling, man. Stop
second round.
No, it's him saying staying on business. I was thinking of PJ Washington and how silly he's been lately.
Let's not talk about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about it. All right. Back to Steve's question here on Twitter on the 20. Would each of you name a running back or a corner that you would be okay with on day 3 if you don't go with either one of those spots in the first 3 rounds? Which that would be a wipeout scenario for me, is if Dallas leaves the first 3 rounds without taking a running back or a corner. But what are some of your day 3 guys that you would possibly have an eye on?
Every single running back that me and Brian have been watching, I say me and Brian because we do a show every night, we haven't seen a guy that
show every night.
Yeah, doing all right. Go check it out on YouTube. Voch Lombardi. But we've just been watching running backs, and they may fall in different rounds. Round 3, 4, 5. Yeah. But we'll take all of them to some extent. Like I've talked about a lot of edges that I just don't like. Right? There's not a running back that we don't like. Even this group of Devin Neal, Taj Brooks, Manunga.
Is that a problem?
I think this is a good ass group of backs.
It's just that good of a group.
It could be a problem.
Or are we just not being selective enough on running back?
The problem is Cowboys might overthink this since they end the overthinking. Yeah. And they may go, well, we don't need Hampton at 44 if he's there. We'll just take Manunga in the 5th or something like that. I don't want that to happen.
Don't sleep on Kyle Manunga out of Rutgers.
I love that's the. I think this is a fantastic.
You take Krosky Merritt over him.
Krosky Merritt from Arizona is a dude. Yeah. Martinez is a dude. Scatterbo, people like him a little more than I like him, but he's
terrible.
You know what I'm saying? Well, y'all text people.
Make your flight on time.
Yarns and Tootin. Like we've watched 24 running backs and we like them all. So pick a running back and I don't have a bad thing to say about
the last guy on my board is a kid named Mullins from Michigan, and I have him in the 5th round, and I would draft him. I absolutely draft him. But you talk about to me the fascinating group is comparing, and the question's a really good one because if I take my 4th round runners and comparing my 4th round corners. That's pretty. I think I could go a little bit further with my runners, but my 4th round corners are Parrish from Kansas State, Riley from Louisville, Huzzy from North Carolina. All those guys can play nickel, by the way.
Yeah.
Strong from Virginia Tech is in there. Dotson, Bryant, Kansas, Alexander, LSU. I take those guys, but my 4th round runners: James, Neal, Giddens, ATN, Brooks, Martinez, Tootin. That's a good group of guys too. So yeah, I think both those positions. I think there's on day 3 you could actually the runners, the linebackers, and the corners might be all in play. Yeah. That you can probably make that thing stretch a little bit, and probably defensive end.
So which one do you said you feel more confident in your running backs on day 3 than you do your corners, or is it about the same?
Take the corner first.
Voch, do this for me. James, Oregon; Neal, Kansas; Giddings, Kansas State. Or Parrish, Kansas State; Riley, Louisville; Huzzy, North Carolina.
I'm going with that group of running backs.
I would go with the running backs for sure.
I think 2 of those 3 corners are not going to be there on day 3.
Which one do you think? Parrish and Riley?
Riley and Parrish.
I like them too, though.
Yeah.
I think Parrish and Riley are gone in the 3rd.
So probably around low on the runners and corners, or just the corners?
The runners are just so jumbled. It's the ice cream question you always ask about. I think there are just so many of them. It depends on how people prioritize them. But no, I mean, I think it's possible any one of those guys could still be there on day 3. I have no idea how teams are going to stack them.
Yeah.
Then the running backs may fall just because they're running backs and, corners more premium, I guess. So even if you have a 4th on those guys, they may go 3rd just because they are corners.
The first name I thought of when we were talking running back and corner here was, for example, when you say day 3, Devin Neal's who I thought of, as being a guy who could potentially be there in 5th round. That you're looking at. But again, somebody may like him. Somebody may like him a ton and grab him in the 3rd round.
I got him in the 4th.
I got him at 5.
I have a late 3rd on him. If you get him on day 3, I think you're setting yourself up pretty well. I think he's one of the better receiving backs in the class.
That's a bell cow too.
Yeah, other day 3 guy, Jordan James from Oregon.
Yeah,
love him. Brashard Smith, SMU.
Got him in the 3rd.
Yeah, I think he's pretty good too. And then at that corner spot, a guy I know Bobby's a big fan of is Jacob Parrish. I think he would fit perfectly into that slot corner position that you're looking for.
There's 3 corners I think that can all play that I think you could plug them in. Parrish is one of them. I think Riley at Louisville, and then we mentioned Huzzy from
North Carolina.
From North Carolina.
I would agree with all that.
I mean, if you're looking for a Jordan Lewis replacement, I think Parrish looks a ton like Jordan Lewis.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
No, the good news is that we're naming guys that we all like and that are probably going to be available whenever they have the 2 5th-round picks and the 6th-round picks and a couple 7ths. And then that's not even the case if they try to trade up and package some of those selections to go back into the 4th.
I would love if they try to get a 4 because I think the 4 is going to be rich this year.
That's where
I think the 4th round is going to be rich this year.
I agree with you.
And I think some of these guys that we're looking at as like 3rd, like some of those guys are just going to kind of, fall there. But if you can get a guy, we just had a talk about our tackle from Kentucky there, right?
Walker.
All the news is weird. It's strange.
Yeah.
Oh, his back is broke. Okay, whatever. That's why he wasn't good in the scene. But if he can be that 1st-round talent type dude that we watch on film sometimes, right?
Scares the
if you can get that dude in the 4th round and figure it out, I think you just
that
slam dunked at the top of the 4th.
4th-round pick, that would be awesome because you're talking about traits, you're talking about ceiling, you're talking about everything you need.
Yep.
But you're not wasting one of those 3 picks, and I wouldn't say wasting it. That's probably a harsh term.
Sure.
But you're not taking a premium top 100
risky
pick
investment
and risking the investment. There you go. That's a great way to put it.
There you go.
By taking Walker.
If
you're in the 4th, go for it.
Him or Collins from Texas.
I would go with Collins.
Collins is a better dude, and I don't have questions about his back or why his senior.
But if you're talking about higher ceiling, if we're going back to that conversation, Walker's probably has
Walker has that. Walker, if you make a highlight tape, he could be a 1st-round type dude with his highlight tape.
Yeah.
But his downs are weird.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, wow, I just looked at it. I've got Collins and Walker touching tags.
There you go.
Yeah, but Collins is above him.
Some plays Walker makes Collins couldn't dare make them.
Yeah.
So that's where that risk comes in, man. Hey, man, what's wrong with your back, man? Why did the Senior Bowl look like this? This is a prime example of what the private visit thing situation, 30 visit or whatever.
Visits.
He should be a prime 30 visit guy. Bro, what's going on? Bro, what happened? Bro, what happened to Senior Bro? Bro, what's going on with your back? And if you get good answers out of that and he interviews okay and he just pops up in the 4th and you just start thinking about that 1st-round looking film. Look at these highlights. That 1st-round looking film. I just smile thinking about Deion Walker as a 1st-round looking guy as your 4th-round pick.
And Tommy, you talked to Alfred Collins on the way. Was it Senior Bowl or Combine?
Combine.
So on the way to the Combine, you talked to Alfred Collins, and the Cowboys met with him formally. I mean, did you get a pretty good indication of maybe where he would fit in with this team, most likely over a guy like Deion Walker?
He's not a big interview guy. He's kind of short with his answers. But
sure.
when you look at Collins, I think it's kind of similar to the conversation that you have with Deion Walker in the sense of there's so much upside there. But the thing that worries me about Collins is that's been his whole career at Texas is, hey, we're banking on this guy because he has so much room to grow and he's got so much upside. And he got better each year that he went along. And his last year at Texas was by far his best year. But it feels like he still hasn't really reached what people thought that he would, just in terms of what he's able to do with how athletic he was and how big he was. I think he looks like $1 million. I mean, he takes up a lot of space there in the middle, and he improved at rushing the passer and can plug up the run really well. Tex did a good job on the interior of that this past year, but can he take that next step? I think that's always been the question with Alfred Collins, and it's going to be an even bigger one as he goes to the NFL. Is can he take that next step and be kind of an everything guy in the middle of the D line?
I will always take a chance on somebody with Alfred Collins' size, like the measurables, the traits, things like that, and then somebody who plays as hard as he does. Like right. He's a motor guy. Yeah. He doesn't take stuff off. Like I felt like there were times like Deion Walker would take off.
Yeah.
And so for
his
me,
back was probably hurting.
Probably, yeah, from just carrying Kentucky everywhere. But I think Alfred Collins, like Collins is those are two guys I both have in the 3rd. But like Walker's bottom of the 3rd, Collins is at the top of that list on the stack. And so for me, I think Collins is somebody who absolutely, if you want to throw something there in the 3rd round and see if it'll work out, those are traits and effort and motor and everything else that I think are worth banking on.
I agree.
No, I like it. Good discussion because they've taken their time looking at these defensive tackles. They've started looking at interior defensive
There's a lot
line.
of 'em.
And I think when we get to 30 visit time, like you said, Walker is a prime possibility there. I wouldn't be surprised to see his name on that list. That list is not available yet, nor the reports really started yet, but he could be on that list moving forward. All right, when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the thought process whenever it gets to, got my rundown right here, pro days. Pro days coming up here in a moment. Some of the bigger schools have already done some pro days. How much does it really play a factor on your board? How much does it change things? And who needs a pro day to get started in the right direction? More to come on the Draft Show right after this.
I'm Darren Woodson, former Dallas Cowboy player and Super Bowl champion. When I played in the NFL at a high level, I relied on my vision to see the field. As I started getting older, I noticed my vision wasn't as good, and I was getting frustrated from wearing my glasses all day. I went to Laser Care Eye Center, and Dr. G talked about all the options. Thanks to technology and Laser Care Eye Center, I can see near, far, and between. Don't fumble your vision any longer. Visit them at dfweyes.com and tell them Darren sent you. They got me back on my game.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Life is a workout, and Smoothie King is here to help you power through. Whether you're maxing out overhead presses, pushing through chest flies, or being the hero your golden retriever needs to carry them over that scary bridge, Smoothie King has the fuel to help you go all out. Build muscle and boost your recovery with 45 grams of protein, 0 grams of added sugar, and delicious customizable ingredients in the Gladiator Smoothie. Available in chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla. Only at Smoothie King.
How about them Cowboys? Or how about them Tyson Cowboys Nuggets? As we cheer for the stars on the field, we love that we've also got some stars on our plate, thanks to Tyson brand star-shaped Cowboys Nuggets. That, along with all our other favorite Tyson Foods products, sure make game day special. Score some delicious Tyson Cowboys Nuggets and become a game day star, just like our Cowboys. As you enjoy your stars on and off the plate, remember, tailgates and game day have always been Tyson.
This is the DallasCowboys.com Draft Show.
Sorry, man.
Cowboys Nation, Dallas Cowboys United, presented by Globe Life, is now exclusively in the Dallas Cowboys app. Join the official fan club today to receive access to all the new Cowboys drop feature, team news, presale access, and fan and kid of the game. Download the app now to join. Alongside Tommy Yarrish, Bryan Broaddus, Voch Lombardi with Bobby Belts and Chris Beam in the back. I'm Kyle Youmans. Glad you're with us. Just got through with some Twitter on the 20. I missed one here, guys. Caesar wanted to know about trading back and trying to possibly pick up that fourth rounder. You're all good with that. Then you can maybe take a chance on a guy like a Mason Taylor, second round, something like that.
Yeah.
Is you cool with that?
Yep. I'm all about picking Mason Taylor, whatever it takes.
What, in a second?
Can I take part in the Mason Taylor arrival interview with you?
What was that?
Can I take part in the Mason Taylor arrival interview with you?
Yeah, come on.
Cool. All right.
We can make it happen.
When his family come through. Chill out.
Bobby's on the bus hanging out. Bobby's a big fan of Mason Taylor.
Yeah,
He's
me
a good
too.
player.
He's gonna be on the plane. Forget the bus.
Just wearing out Elman's texts all the time.
Yeah, I love it. All right. Pro days have continued on, and the pro day schedule is running down the list at the moment. You kind of said this in the break, Voch, but
Yes.
I want the people to hear it.
Yeah.
How much do you care about pro days?
I don't care nothing about them. You know, everybody runs a little faster.
That 38-yard downhill dash that Bryan likes to talk about?
This is what's important, right? If we hear, XYZ Cowboy coach is at this pro day to look at XYZ play, like that means a little something. But if it's about a player moving faster or, hey, look at those drills or look at Johnny Manziel throwing in shorts and a helmet, I don't really care about the pro day in particular.
Yeah.
So I'll wait for my, Cowboy friends to, tweet about it and be like, hey, this coach was here. And I'll be like, oh, well, that coach was there. That means something. But the actual pro day doesn't move anything on my board.
And I think that's a great point, because that is something that you got to take advantage of, is where you see those guys end up. We've talked about it. I know, Bryan, you were very high on this when it happened, but when Dan Quinn was hitting the road and he was at each of these pro days.
They seemed to draft a lot of guys when Dan Quinn was at pro days.
Exactly. And you could kind of get to that point again this year if you wanted to.
Yeah, I think that's something you have to be very mindful of that. Will McClay has an interesting job. He's trying to make scouts happy, coaches happy, and the Joneses happy.
Yeah.
And it's a difficult job to do. And if if there's kind of a question between two players, they tend to side with the coaches on some of these guys. So I would keep an eye on where some of these coaches are working at, especially if your offensive coordinator goes somewhere or your defensive coordinator goes somewhere, cool.
Yeah.
You get a position coach roll into one of these pro days, keep an eye on that guy.
So you think it's more important to see where the position coaches go?
Position coaches.
Not necessarily scouts or anybody like that?
The scouts are always going to go.
That's what I thought.
Scouts are always going to go. Scouts are always going to go to get the numbers, get the measurables.
Because there was a lot of love last week. East Texas A&M has an edge rusher out there that a lot of players and draft nuts out there are really interested in. Chris Hall was first in front and center.
Chris Hall, that's his area.
That's where he's at.
So, he's going to – if they send a coach in there to work that player out, then now really pay attention.
Yeah, it's also the pro days. A lot of times when you talk to people in personnel, and Brian, I don't know if this was your experience, but
Dallas Day is really good for them.
Yes, it is,
guys, without having to go out.
Yeah, so it's good also on the front for just intel for like when they're there at the workout. Maybe they can talk to a strength coach or a position coach or something who, when they're in the middle of the season, didn't feel like giving up too much and is now willing to talk about something with you about a guy. So I think a lot of times you will see a little bit of margins that you can pick up in terms of intel or insight from the school and people that work there when you go to the pro days as opposed to what you would have gotten in the fall.
Is there any of that for guys, especially in this day and age of college football, where you have the transfer portal and you have so many guys skipping school? I mean, one of the guys we've talked about is Walter Nolan, right? And from Texas A&M, didn't have the best reputation from College Station, goes to Ole Miss, had a good season. Now he's getting drafted out of Ole Miss. Can you go to Texas A&M's pro day and ask about what Walter Nolan did during his time at Texas A&M?
Yeah, I remember going to Johnny Manziel's pro day at Texas A&M, and this is when Jimbo Fisher was the coach, and I talked to him about all the Florida State players.
Yeah,
I didn't ask him about one Texas A&M player, and he goes, man, I really am glad you did this. He goes, I'm learning these A&M kids. He goes, but I know those kids down in Tallahassee, and they had a bunch of them, and he was able to kind of fill me in from a head coaching perspective of like who he thought could really play, who were good kids, who you might have to kick in the butt to kind of get going. But sometimes you could catch a coach that's been somewhere else and at a pro day and really learn a lot about that team because he's not there anymore.
Yeah,
so it helps.
And remember, there's a pro day going across the board here starting tomorrow. The Big 12 is doing their pro day from here, and there's a lot of names on that list that you could possibly look at. No, there is no Teteroa McMillan working out. He's already done his own separate thing. So he's not doing that, but you've got a lot of names from Arizona, Arizona State, Baylor, BYU, those schools. Colorado has
Jalen Knoll working out?
Let me see.
Iowa State?
Yep.
He should be.
He can play.
I'm looking at the list.
He's better than the other
He's the best Iowa State wide receiver in his class.
He is not working out at Big 12 Pro.
Come on, Jalen.
Yeah, he's not. So, I mean, you can find the whole list on the Big 12 website.
We allowed to go watch that?
I can get you a credential. You want one?
Got to get it through the Big 12.
You got to get through the Big 12?
Yeah, it's the Big 12 specifically.
Okay. I just was curious if we were allowed to watch.
Yes.
Yeah. If you want to snatch a credential, you could.
I actually think it's open to the public, too.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, I think it's free admission and open to the public. So,
are the Cowboys running it as they're hosting? Are they getting?
No,
it's all Big 12.
It's all. So, yeah, I mean, last year when they had it up here, it was run just like a normal pro day. But, like, when it's funny, the guy who ran.
This like Sanders isn't throwing here, right?
Sanders was supposed to be here. I don't know if he's working out.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's on the list to be there.
So I wonder because I thought maybe that his OC would probably run the workout for him.
I have not been blinded by the glimmer of his chain yet, though, so I don't know if he's actually made it to Frisco yet.
Haven't seen it yet.
No.
No Travis Hunter, by the way, if you're wondering about Shadur Sanders. Travis Hunter's not on the list in terms of workout. So, I mean, Shadur's on the list, which means he could possibly do it, but I don't know.
Is the Big 12 flying in all these kids for this?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember what the arrangement is. So they did the first one last year, and I mean it was cool. There were a lot of people from NFL ops here. Roman Oben was here.
Yep.
And I mean there were a ton of scouts. It was productive.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Are these down the line kids then? That's what we're talking.
I mean, last year there was TJ Tampa was here.
Okay.
I mean, you had some guys who went in like the second, third round who were running.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and I mean they're running 40s out there.
Good.
Probably not the first round names, but
good.
Everybody else is pretty
deal.
much open there. And you can watch a little bit of it on the NFL Network and NFL streaming apps, is what it says here on the release. So lots of pro days still to be had. Tommy, have you gotten any kind of indication on where Dallas would be looking, or some of the different guys across the board, coaching staff, where they've been already through these first couple of weeks?
Well, one of the ones that I know Brian said, coordinators, you kind of hold off a little bit on that. But Matt Eberflus, it seems like, was at Georgia, according to a couple of reports.
Sure.
And so, we talked about Michael Williams a little bit earlier.
Good news.
Could that be?
He might have been there working out Walker, the linebacker. To see if he can actually play.
He had an LB on his chest, by the way. So.
Well, of course, they got to give him something,
I mean, it wasn't edge.
EDGE probably didn't even fit, so they had to put,
you put LB.
They had to put LB.
Well, either one of those, really. I think, you can look at Matt Eberflus's past and how he's used those kinds of players in his defense. I mean, in Chicago, there's Montez Sweat coming off the edge. He's much bigger than, Michael Williams or Jalen Walker, but you drop it back at TJ Edwards and blanking on his name now. Tremaine Edmonds is a couple of guys that he had in that linebacker core. He's got his 3 technique and also Digizua. So now do you wonder if he's maybe thinking, okay, how do I build around that? And do Michael Williams or Jalen Walker fit the build for what they're looking for? And then there's a couple interior guys at Georgia too. I mean, Tyrone Ingram-Dawkins is a guy maybe later on in the draft, day 3, that you can consider there at defensive tackle. So there's some guys down there. I mean, Georgia just cranks out those defenders, and you always scout the player and not the helmet. But I think Georgia's track record should prove that those guys get developed.
Yeah, coming up over the next 2 days. I mean, today you've got Oregon, South Carolina. Those are 2 schools that are having some big names in the draft. Alabama is tomorrow.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to ask you a quick question before we get out of here. You're sending your defensive line coach to go work out at one place.
Ooh,
you send him to Oregon or South Carolina?
Oregon. Really? I think I would say South Carolina. I want to know about TJ Sanders, a couple of those other guys.
Yeah.
Oregon probably.
Because Oregon, that's Birch, Caldwell, and
Harmon. I'm saying.
Yeah, and Harmon. So you get a couple more guys.
You got a little edge, or a little interior defensive line talk though at South Carolina. I don't know.
Get some at Oregon too. You get.
Yeah, I mean, you get
2 of them at Oregon.
I don't know. Are you able to
3 of them? 3 of them because Birch plays B gaps.
He plays both.
So
you're right.
That's 3 interior guys. Yeah. Go party.
Where would you send him, Brian?
Oregon.
I'm on an island. That's okay.
It's all right.
Whenever you look at some of these other ones, you got Cal. They've got a couple defensive backs that we've talked about on the show.
They got a corner. You need. I mean, not a corner, a linebacker. They got a corner and a linebacker.
Buchanan.
Yeah, you need.
Michigan's on the 21st. Florida State on the 21st. Missouri on the 21st. Then there's a ton of them, the 24th and 25th. I mean, let's just go down the list. Auburn, Boston College, Iowa, East Carolina, if you want to know about Ravel and kind of what his injury issue. He probably is not going to run, right? You don't think?
God, I wish.
Yeah,
Texas probably just going to have its own day, right? Because they got 15 guys.
March 25th. Yeah. Yep. So they've got their own day. Tommy, you're going to go down there?
Working on getting down there.
Working on
drive. I got to pick up the phone. Texas, if you're watching, please pick up the phone.
Please. Yeah, he's called you a couple times. 24th, you've got SMU, North Carolina, Miami on that list too. I mean, that's 24th and 25th. Those are big days. 26th, you've got Ohio State. LSU is the 26th as well. Boise State, if you want to hear about Ashton Genty and how great he looks, because he'll look incredible, no doubt. 27th, Texas A&M, Notre Dame, Florida. But yeah, so just so you know, all of this is available online. You can go look at the entire list yourself. But just to keep in mind, Pro Days are around the corner. We'll have some stuff on the Big 12 Pro Day coming up Thursday. But again, it's going to be our 1 month out mock. So we'll have a full first round mock for you on on Thursday. Excited about that. Get you ready for the final month push into the NFL draft. That's going to do it for us today, though. For Tommy Yarrish, Bryan Broaddus, Voch Lombardi, Bobby Belt, Chris Beam in the back, I'm Kyle Youmans saying so long from the Draft Show. We will see you on Thursday.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!